story. A bicycle in good repair. I'm going to continue with the story as we have already started the story, and I'm going to continue from the second section of the story. So open your book, page number 129. A Bicycle in Good Repair by Jerome K. Jerome. Okay. Okay, so let me just recapitulate what till this point what we have done. This man, the narrator, has a plan with his acquaintance, one of his of just might be not a friend actually, a man that he knew. Okay, so he makes a plan with him to go on a long bicycle ride. He makes a plan and he gets up early. He gets ready to go to the bicycle ride. The guy turns up late. He turns up late, and after coming he tries to find faults with the narrator's bicycle. He finds a lot of different faults which are not actually present, and then he ends up opening the front wheel. Not only that, he also gets rid of the ball bearings. Okay, that means he dismantles the cycle, and he has probably got no clue about what to do with it. However, the narrator was not able to stop him from doing that, because he was late from coming out of the tool shed. When he came out, he saw that the guy had already taken out the front wheel of the cycle. Okay. Now come to page number 129 of your main textbook. I am going to continue from section 2. He then said that while he was about it, he would see to the chain for me, and at once began taking off the gear case. You know the place where the gear is there? He started taking off the gear case. I did try to dissuade him from that. Dissuade means to persuade him otherwise, to tell him that don't open it. But I told him what an experienced friend of mine once said to me solemnly: if anything goes wrong with your gear case, sell the machine and buy a new one. It comes cheaper. So I also told this guy that no need to bother with the gear case, because if you open the gear case and if something is wrong with it, it's better to sell the machine than to fix the problem in the gear case. So it's like you don't have to do that. So I told this man also, but he didn't listen. He said, people talk like that who understand nothing about machines. That is, those people who has no idea, those people who have no idea about what machines are, they speak in this off-handed manner. Okay, so your friend didn't have any idea about how to deal with a cycle machine, and so he said that. Nothing is easier than taking off a gear case. So there is nothing easier than taking off the gear case of a bicycle. Solemnly means seriously. Okay, in a very serious fashion. In a very serious fashion. I had to confess he was right. I had to confess means I had to accept, and I had to say that yes, he was right. It was very easy to take off a gear case. In less than 5 minutes, he had the gear case in 2 pieces. So he has dismantled not only the front wheel but also the gear case. He has taken it out from the cycle. Lying on the path and was groveling for screws. So within 2 minutes he had got the gear case away from the bicycle, and he was the screws of the gear case had fallen about the place, fallen out with the moment he had opened it. So he was groveling. That means he was trying to find out the screws from the path. He said it was always a mystery to him the way screws disappeared, and he also said that how the screws disappear just from our eyes, I have no idea. Common sense continued to whisper to him, stop him before he does any more mischief. You have a right to protect your own property from the ravages of a lunatic. Take him by the scruff of the neck and kick him out of the gate. So, our narrator is not a stupid man. He has an idea that what this guy is doing is completely wrong, and it's completely unnecessary, and it will ruin his machine completely. He had an idea about that what this guy is doing is not right, but still he couldn't do anything to stop him. So in his mind, the common sense was telling him that stop this lunatic. Lunatic means a mad person, a crazy person. So stop this lunatic from doing something which you will regret. Maybe he has no idea what he is doing, so you should simply throw him away from your property and not let him touch your cycle. But I am weak when it comes to hurting other people's feeling, and I let him muddle on. But because I was weak, I was a weak person. I was not a person who would state his, express what he wanted clearly to people. I was a little bit weak and I did not feel like hurting anybody. So he couldn't say anything to him and he couldn't force him out from his place. Okay. He gave up looking for the rest of the screws. He said, screws had a knack of turning up when you least expected them, and that now he would see to the chain. So he was looking for the screws for a while after opening the gearbox, and after opening the gearbox, after he has looked for the screws for quite a long time, he decided that I'm not going to look for them again anymore, and he told the narrator that the screws, they have a habit. Knack for means a habit for. The screws will turn up when again it will turn back to me, so let me go to the gear case. Then he started opening the, no sorry, not the gear case, the chain of the cycle. He tightened it till it would not move. Next he loosened it until it was twice as loose as it was before. Okay, so he was doing whatever he felt like doing. He was like a 5-year-old boy who had gotten a big tool with him and a big experimenting machine in front of him, and he was just doing whatever he felt like doing without any order, okay, without any kind of orderliness. Then he said we had better think about getting the front wheel back into its place again. Then he said that let's put back the front wheel where it was. I held the fork open and he worried with the wheel. So maybe the place where the wheel is attached, that is called the fork. So I got it open and then he worried about the wheel means he started doing something with the wheel. At the end of 10 minutes, I suggested that he should hold the fork because he was doing so much, he was taking so much time in trying to put on the wheel. The author or the narrator suggested to him that why don't you hold the fork is one part of the cycle, okay, the part where probably the wheel is stuck. Those of you who ride a bicycle can understand. So that part of the cycle he had to hold it when the narrator tried trying to put the wheel back, and that I should handle the wheel, and we changed places. At length we did get the thing into position, and the moment it was in position he burst out laughing. Okay, then after he had got the wheel in the position, the man, he started laughing a lot. Why he was laughing? So I asked him, what's the joke? I asked him, what's the joke? That is, why are you laughing? He said, well, I'm an ass, means I'm a stupid person. It was the first thing he had said that made me respect him. I asked him what had led him to the discovery. So this was the first thing that he had said about himself that made the narrator respect him. When he admitted that I'm a stupid person, I'm a completely idiotic person, at that moment I felt a bit of respect for this guy, because this was the first sensible thing which he had said in all this time, okay. And then he said, we have forgotten the balls, that is, we have completely forgotten to put the balls into the wheel, okay, and we had simply got the wheel back. I looked for my hat. It was lying topsy-turvy in the middle of the path. You see the picture? The narrator was also quite stupid, okay, so he had put his hat on the ground where all the little balls were there, so it was just there in a casual manner and all the balls had again gotten out. He was of a cheerful disposition. He said, Well, we must put back all we can find and trust to providence. Trust to providence means trust to our fate that everything will be all right. We found 11 balls. We fixed 6 on one side and 5 on the other, and half an hour later the wheel was in its place again. It need hardly be added that it did really wobble now. Previously it was not wobbling so much, but now it was wobbling quite a bit. We fixed, a child might have noticed it. He said it would do for the present. That is, for the present this is okay. I said, watching you do this is of real use to me. It is not your only skill that fascinates, it is not only your skill that fascinates me, it is your cheery confidence in yourself, your inexplicable hopefulness that does me good. That is something which you cannot explain. Inexplicable means something which you cannot explain. So, I was kind of flattering the man, that is the narrator was kind of flattering him, and he was telling him that watching you put this cycle back into its place is quite fascinating to me, because it is not just your skill with bicycles, but the fact that you are of such a cheerful disposition all the time. You are so light hearted that the hopefulness that you have in yourself, that does me good, because he can see for himself that the cycle was in a very bad position, but still the man was telling him that it would do for now. And that is the optimism that he was showing, the hopefulness that he was showing, and that made the narrator feel good, or maybe he is being sarcastic. Thus encouraged, he set to work to refix the gear case. Okay, to fix the gear case again. And he stood the bicycle against the house and walked from the off side. Then he stood it against a tree and walked from the on side. Okay, so he stood it at one part he took, and from the opposite side he was doing it. Then I held it for him while he lay on the ground with his head between the wheels and worked at it from below, dropped oil upon himself. Then he took it away from me and doubled himself across it till he lost his balance and slid over on to his head. Okay. So, so he was doing all these different gestures just to fix the gear case into its position. Then he lost his temper and tried bullying the thing. The bicycle, I was glad to see, showed spirit. Then when he lost his temper, when he became really angry, he started saying bad things to the bicycle. Okay, so he was trying to bully the thing. Bully, actually we don't bully a cycle, but it's being said in a funny manner. Bully means to tease somebody, okay, in a bad manner, to tease somebody, that is called bullying. But he is not actually bullying the cycle in that manner, but rather he was simply trying to make it feel bad. Okay, so he was doing a lot of effort on the bicycle. And the subsequent proceedings degenerated into little else than a rough and tumble fight between him and the machine. So he was just holding the cycle, getting his anger out, trying to fix the gear case very hard on it, but nothing was happening. Okay, because the cycle was also showing spirit. That means the cycle was also showing that I am not a matter of joke. Okay, so you cannot just hold me and fix the gear case back. It's not possible. Good afternoon, Ashita. Okay, check the class from the YouTube. Okay, no problem. Next is, one moment the bicycle would be on the gravel path and he on top of it. The next, the position would be reversed. For one moment he will see that the bicycle was on the gravel path, okay, the path of pebbles and all, and the next moment it will be he will be standing on top of it flushed with victory, the bicycle firmly fixed between his legs. Gravel means full of gravels, like stones, small stones. Gravel path. Okay, some paths are muddy paths, some paths are made of pitch, some paths are made of gravel, some paths are made of gravel. Okay, you find out what gravel is or gravel path is, look at an image in Google, one kind of stone, okay, small stone. But his triumph would be short-lived. By a sudden quick movement, it would free itself and turning upon him, hit him sharply over the head with one of its handles. So it seemed as if, or almost as if, the bicycle had a temper of its own. The bicycle had a personality of its own, and the way the man was mishandling the bicycle, it seemed as if the cycle would harm it. Okay, the cycle would also try to harm it. Come to the last page. At 1:45, dirty and disheveled. So they have been doing this from the early morning. Okay, still now they have not started their long ride, and I don't think it's going to happen. Dirty and disheveled, cut and bleeding, he said, I think that will do, and rose and wiped his brow. So he was even disheveled, he was even cut, because the cycle also took its revenge on him, as if. That means the cycle fell down on him on several occasions. The bicycle looked as if it had also had enough of it, which had received most punishment. It would have been difficult to say. I took him into the back kitchen where, so far was possible, he cleaned himself. Then I sent him home. Okay, so afterwards he was, brow means this one. Okay, so he had a lot of he wiped his brow means he wiped the sweat off his brow. He had a lot of injuries on him, but after a while, when the author understood that nothing can be done from him, I asked him to clean himself up from the kitchen, from my kitchen, and after that I sent him home. Go back. Next, what happens with the cycle we have no idea, but we can understand that this guy completely mishandled the whole thing, and the cycle, which was perfectly working in the beginning, became fully dysfunctional towards the end. Okay, so this is what happens when a person who has no idea about doing something pretends that he knows or she knows a lot about it, and it ends up in a big chaos. Okay, and the story also teaches us one thing, that you should be bold sometimes. When you know something wrong is happening in front of you, you shouldn't always hold your tongue. You shouldn't always feel scared of hurting somebody's feeling. When you know that something wrong is happening, you should stop it at the right time. Okay, so we are going to discuss this chapter once again. Bye students, today I am not going to proceed anymore. Okay, just stay on the call. Let me take your attendance, write your name and write present. Okay students.